Bare necessity, but simple bare necessity. Bare necessity, but simple bare necessity.
Hey there, it's Brebear, and today I'm going to be doing a very fun video. So as I was thinking about what I should read now that Halloween is over, I came to a bit of a struggle in myself of like, I really don't know what to read right now. And because of that, I feel like the only logical explanation is not to decide myself. So my assistant for this lovely TBR shall be my Pupper Whopper. He looks so excited to be here. Are you ready to help me pick out my books? I don't know. I'd rather work at the mailman. Hey, go help me pick my books? Huh? Look at that tail wag. Oh yeah, he's ready. Look at that tail wag. Are you ready? Are you so ready? Are you so ready? Oh, he's a happy bear. He's just a happy bear. Okay, so this is Future Bree stepping in to kind of explain the setup of everything. So, and how this video is laid out. So the first section of the video is going to be me talking about the books that I have chosen for my dog to pick from, and then Sam is going to choose the books, and then after that going to actually have a vlog section in the middle of the video that is going to be me actually reading all the books, and then at the end you will see me again to kind of wrap everything up and talk about how I felt about the experience itself, and how the reading went, and you know, just tell you my thoughts. So yeah, let's get into the video. Sit down and like talk you guys through and show you guys the clip as I talk of what I ended up choosing for the categories and what books Sam chose. So if you don't know, my dog is Sam. He's half Chihuahua and half Dachshund. Sam loves to cuddle with me when I am on my bed or in my little nook reading, which used to be where I'm sitting right now. So I decided to set it up in categories and choose 2 books for each kind of category, and then let Sam come to me and whichever hand that he went to was the one that I counted. So the first category that I chose was classics. So I am wanting to reread some classics and also read some new classics, so I chose to choose one for rereading purposes. Option 1 was Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte, and option number 2 was Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. And here are the results. So Sam chose Jane Eyre. So I will be reading Jane Eyre, which, if you don't know, is a little bit longer. Let me find the end. These are end notes. End notes. Okay. 524 pages. Excited to reread it. It's been a long time since I read it. I read it the first time in 5th grade. So category number 2 was for a contemporary book. So I chose 2 contemporaries that I'm kind of interested in reading, and let Sam choose between the 2. So the 2 options were Love and Luck by Jenna Evans Walsh and Tell Me 3 Things by Julie Buxom. Sam's choice was Love and Luck by Jenna Evans Welsh. I'm excited for this one because it is set in Ireland. I'm very hype. I honestly would have been fine with either of these, but I am definitely excited to read this one. Okay, so for option number 3, I chose 2 different books that were left over from my spooky TBR for Halloween season. I had several books left. I did not get to read as many as I would have liked, so I just chose 2 of the shorter books from that list, and I was like, you know, I could read one of these. So the first option is The Things She's Seen by Amblin and Ezekiel Quemolina, and the second option was A Monster Calls by Patrick Ness. A A Monster Calls by Patrick Ness. The next category, I decided that Sam needed to choose a reread for me when it comes to books that I need to reread so that I can read the sequel. So I chose 2 books that I have the sequel for and haven't read yet that I want to reread the first book before I read the sequel. So that would be either Carry On by Rainbow Rowell or You good? Okay. Okay. Or Vicious by V.E. Schwab. And Sam chose Vicious by V.E. Schwab. I'm excited but also nervous because I have a lot of like heavier books that I've been reading, and this is definitely on the darker side of the 2, so, but it is shorter. So there is that. For the last book, I wanted to challenge myself and choose something that was definitely going to be hard to read. And I wanted to also switch up a little bit how I chose the books for it. So I actually chose books from 2 different genres, and it's kind of like a battle of the genres. So what better books to choose, or what better genres to choose from than sci-fi and fantasy? Because that is definitely a thing, is the battle between sci-fi and fantasy. So I chose for the fantasy book Elantris by Brandon Sanderson. And for the sci-fi book, The Knife of Never Letting Go by Patrick Ness. Sam chose Knife of Never Letting Go. This is definitely a chunker, but this is pretty dense to read for sure, and I believe this is YA and this is adult, so I think this one will be a little bit easier to get through. I could be remembering incorrectly, but I believe this one's YA, so this one I think will be a little bit faster to read for that reason, whereas this one is adult, so it's going to be a little bit slower paced as far as like trying to get through it, I think. So I think it's going to work out fine, but who knows, because I'm reading now 2 sci-fi books. So this is going to be my stack of books that I'm going to be reading thanks to Sam. And so to be able to actually fully make this into a bookish fun experience, I am going to read these books and keep up with you guys throughout the time. So see you guys soon. Hey guys, so I have started Jane Eyre and I am 24 pages in. I'm on chapter 3. So far so good. I didn't really remember a lot of the beginning of it. Honestly, I don't remember a lot of the details of it, so it's gonna be kind of nice to reconnect with this story. I'm just kind of going through and writing in a bunch of definitions of words that I don't know the exact definition of, even if I can kind of guess the meaning. Just to kind of like enhance my vocabulary. I've been doing that lately with my books, and I think this is going to be a really fun book to do that with. Tabbed off the pages for every 100 pages. Okay guys, so an update. I'm still on Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. I haven't started any of the other ones yet. It has been 5 days and I have only just now hit the 100-page mark. So definitely been slow going for me. I'm super enjoying it, but that first chunk was super difficult because of how irritating some of the adults are in it. Think like Umbridge times of Harry Potter. I know that it's going to be a very sad book. Like, I've read it before a long time ago and I've seen it in movie form as well. I read it like literally in elementary school, so it's been a long time. I've forgotten a lot of things. I remember like the way the movie made me feel and the way the book made me feel, but I don't remember like the details, so it's kind of really hard hitting in the fact that it's like I'm remembering all of these things and why I felt the way I did and why I haven't picked it back up. So definitely very much enjoying it. Upon reread, it's so eloquent and so gorgeously written. It is hard to read at times because I am stopping to mark words that I don't know, not just expanding my vocabulary, but also like expanding the knowledge that I have on the vocabulary that I already have, like expanding my understanding of words that I already know and like delving deeper into their meaning and the context they should be used, and like expanding my grammar knowledge, not just my vocabulary, if that makes sense. Maybe now that I'm kind of more into it, like 100 pages into it, I'll be able to like push through a little bit better. My main concern about this TBR is that because this is such a long book and it's a classic and it's a very emotionally distressing book, that it's going to be harder to get through than I thought, because this one's I know going to be hard to get through. And I also have The Knife of Never Letting Go, which could possibly be hard to get through. I don't know. And then Vicious is also a very like dark book, so I know that one's going to be a little bit hard. It might be easier upon reread. I don't know. It's just like a lot of these books are more on the dark side. Love and Luck is the lightest book that I have on this shelf, and this is the second lightest, I would say. So yeah. Now again, The Knife of Never Letting Go, I don't know a lot about how like dark it's gonna be, but it is sci-fi, so to me it's typically a darker premise if it's sci-fi. And then with A Monster Calls, I believe that has to do with like grief and loss, as well as like, you know, monster-y stuff and like spooky stuff. So I'm pretty sure this is just gonna be a really sad reading time, so it may be harder to get through time-wise than I, you know, originally was thinking. Hey guys, so it has been a bit since I've checked in for this video. In fact, it is now the 25th of November. So it has been, let's see, 12 days since I started reading Jane Eyre. And I am just now hitting the 200 page mark. So basically the story there is I've just lacked motivation to read lately, and part of it is like in my head I'm thinking that it's gonna be so much more difficult to get into and all of that, but in reality it's really not. And once I actually get myself to start reading, I can easily continue. If I stop to take a break, it's harder to motivate myself to pick it back up again. I'm not even to the halfway point yet. Like over 25 pages today already. The goal for today is to read a minimum of 50 more pages. But my real goal, my main goal, is to try to read 100 pages today. But if I don't hit 100, then I have to at least hit 50 pages. Hey guys, so I read a lot yesterday, but I didn't update on this video, I don't think. So I'm gonna update. I got to page 300. I'm so proud. Yesterday I read 86 pages. So I'm very proud of myself. Or not yesterday, the day before. Because yesterday was Thanksgiving, so I didn't read a single page. Pro status. So my goal is to try to finish this book for the end of the day on Saturday. Hey guys, it is the 30th of November and I just passed the 400 page mark of Jane Eyre, so definitely not gonna finish it tonight because it is already 10:18 and I have 147 pages to go. But I hope to try to finish it tomorrow. Hopefully, maybe. So I'm not sure how, oh crap, my nails are terrible. Some of them have been peeling. I'm doing my nails later. Okay, ignore them. Look at this hand. Oh, it's bad too. Never mind. So I haven't updated you guys, I don't think, in a while, but as you can see by my tabs, it looks pretty good. I'm so proud of myself because I am on page 450. I have less than 100 pages left of this book. I'm so proud of myself, you guys. Hey guys, I am so excited to say that I just completed my reread of Jane Eyre. So many feelings. This was definitely an undertaking. As you guys have definitely noticed by the time that it took me to read this book, it is currently the 3rd of December. And actually, let's go on Goodreads and update it so we can talk a little bit more about it. It took me from the 13th of November until the 3rd of December to read this book. So it took me 20 days to read this book. I did have a lot of stuff going on in my personal life outside of doing this. I've had a lot going on for me. I loved this read. Rereading this was so amazing because there were so many things I couldn't remember how they connected or how they worked, or I didn't remember at all. So it was amazing to go back and connect all of the dots. This 100% will be making its way onto my favorites shelf. Very excited to dive into some of my Jane Eyre related spin-offs and stuff like that. Alright, so good morning. It is the 4th of December and I'm finally starting my second book. And that is going to be Vicious by V.E. Schwab. You guys, I feel much better now that I have started to complete things. I'm feeling much more confident that I'm going to be able to do the things. I did annotate this when I first read it. So I went through and marked what the tabs were, and I decided that I would just use red for any extra notes that I want to add in on top of what I had originally annotated from my second read, or to emphasize things that are really, big to me. If there's a little heart and I want to color it in, or something I want to circle or underline, then I can do that in red. Hey guys, so I decided that I'm going to do daily updates now that I'm done with the 20-day extravaganza that was reading, what do you call it? Jane Eyre. I'm fine. Words are hard. It's fine. So, it is my second day on Vicious, day 2 for Vicious, and I read 50 pages of that yesterday. I did read something else as well, but as far as this goes, I read 50 pages of this. So related to this video, only 50 pages. But today's goal is to try to read at least to the halfway point. I would like to get to page 200 today. That would be awesome. So it'd be 150 pages. So yeah, but we'll see. I am going to try to get some work done today, so we'll see. The good thing about this one is it feels much easier to read now than it did when I read it the first time. Probably because I'm more familiar with it now, so it's less weird going into it, because the first time I had no idea what was happening whatsoever when I started the book. I was so confused. So now I have a little bit better of an idea of what I'm reading, so for that reason, and the fact that the chapters are so short, it's very easy to read a lot at a time because you feel like you're going through quickly. It will actually be easier than I originally thought because of that. Alright, good morning friends, and Welcome to day 3 of Vicious. Lord have mercy. Okay, so yesterday I read 125 pages. I fell asleep before I could read the last 25 pages. I needed to make a goal, so kind of sad, but you know what? It's okay because actually I only have 188 pages left to complete this book. So I'm actually going to try to read the rest of this book today. I'm really hoping I can do it. I'm going to talk to you guys tomorrow, letting you know if I can complete this today. Okay, hey guys, it is day, is it the 4th day since I started this? I don't know, but I finished this yesterday anyway, so it doesn't even matter what day it was because it's done now and I'm not reading it today. So, I finished Vicious yesterday. I am so proud of myself. I can't. I am legit the proudest. I did not know if I was going to be able to do it. At some points, I was concerned, but I did it. I'm so hype. So, I super enjoyed this reread. It was so much quicker on reread. Okay, I'm so sorry. This is like shaking like a Polaroid picture over here. Okay, that's better. Get some light over here. Yeah, that's better. Okay, I know there's going to be some backlighting, so I apologize if this looks terrible, but I'm not even going to check it. I really loved this reread. It was amazing going back and reading this because it was so much quicker this time, because I think for part of it, I have really stretched my reading a lot to include much darker books, and so since I've done that, it's definitely made a difference in how I view this book. It's still extremely dark, but I mean, it was so much more enjoyable because I'm more used to this kind of dark content with all the grim, you know, craziness that is this book. It's definitely one of those books that you have to be able to read dark stuff to read this, which I think I was when I first read it, but I wasn't as used to reading this style of narrative and this, you know, kind of genre of such darkness. And like, even with reading sci-fi, I really wasn't that familiar with sci-fi either. I haven't read it, like I don't read a ton of sci-fi. I just never really gravitate towards it as much as I gravitate towards fantasy. I like sci-fis, but I just don't gravitate towards them as much as I do fantasy or contemporary. Can't believe how much I had forgotten since I read this the first time in April of 2018. So it's been like closer to 2 years than 1. First time I read this, it took me from April 3rd to April 30th. What? It took me 27 days to read this the first time. And then this time reading it took me 2 days. So kind of mind-blowing to think about that, you know, being in the right place can really make a difference on how fast or slow you read something. But also, like, I think part of it is also the change in my reading in the last year. I mean, I've read You by Caroline Kepnes and It by Stephen King. You see things that you realize, like, why did I not pick up on this the first time? There's so many hints that I should have picked up on the first read that I totally missed. I did not realize how open-ended this book is. Like, there are so many loose threads that you know, although this could have been a standalone book on its own, like, there are so many pieces left to be explored. And so I really love that she did finally go into continuing this book, because, like, this came out in 2013. This came out in 2013, and eventually either came out last year or this year. So 5 years to come back to this story. And so when I first picked this up, it hadn't been announced yet. On Goodreads, I'm seeing an opening for a book 3. The goal is to try to complete this before I leave. If I don't, that's okay. So I have about 4 hours.
Okay, hey guys, so yesterday I barely read anything. I read 90 pages of Monster Calls. Oops. Okay, so that's not really barely reading, but still, I wanted to finish that whole book in a day. That did not happen. So I read a little bit more today, but I'm going to try to finish that and then start Love and Luck is my goal for the now.
Hey guys, so I just wanted to pop in for my daily update and tell you that yesterday I did end up completing a Monster Calls, so I'm going to talk about it a little bit. I really enjoyed this book. Very emotional and artistic. Using my window to film this, so ignore the curtain. I think that this is something that I would need to and would like to read again at some time to kind of pick up more of the details and little snippets of things that I totally would have missed this first read. I overall really liked it. I 5-starred this one. I don't know if I told you, but I 5-starred Vicious as well, and I 5-starred Jane Eyre. So far I have loved everything that Sam has picked for me, so that's awesome. But the first 2 books were rereads, so it makes sense that I enjoy them a lot. But this one was really good, and then the next 2 are going to be the other ones that are more questionable as to how much I'm going to enjoy them. Love and Luck is Jenna Evans Walsh's second book, and the first one I really liked, but there were some elements that I wasn't a huge fan of. So this being her second book, and I believe it came out last year. I could be wrong about that. It could have come out this year. I can't remember. But I'm curious to see if she improved upon some of those things, or if she still has some growing room on those elements that I wasn't a fan of. So that'll be interesting to see for sure. And then the other thing is that the last book, The Knife of Never Letting Go, is also by Patrick Ness. Now this story was by Siobhan Dowd. Originally, the concept was created by Siobhan Dowd, but the writing itself is Patrick Ness. So that's kind of interesting that I'm going to be reading 2 Patrick Nesses during this video concept.
Hey guys, so
Just a little bit of an update here. So it's been 3 days since I talked to you guys. I know I said I was going to do daily updates. You know, I'm sorry. But what happened was I went to my mom's, and so it just made it a little bit more difficult to do the vlog clips, because I just didn't want to take time out in the middle of the day to do it. But then it was dark at night, and I didn't have good lighting situations, and I could have actually done it, but it was just effort, and I didn't want to put forth such things. So day 1 on this book, Love and Luck by Jenna Evans Walsh, I read 75 pages. Day 2 I read another 75. Okay, I read another 75 pages, and day 3 I finished it, so I read 149 pages. So yeah, I finished this in 3 days, which is pretty darn awesome. I do say so myself. I was gonna try to do it in 2 days, but The first 2 days were kind of slow reading days, so. My thoughts are that it was definitely nice to break up some of the darker stuff that I've been reading. And I really enjoyed the book overall. There are some elements of her writing that I've had issues with, both in the previous book in the series and in this one. Both times there were things that were problematic and triggering. So there are definitely issues there. But for the most part, it's like so enjoyable that it's hard, you know, seeing that she has these things that she's doing as an author that she really shouldn't do. So it's really frustrating because it's like the book is so good, and it, you know, it would have been so easy to just take out a couple lines or reword some things and make it not, you know, problematic. So yesterday was a really good reading day. Very proud of myself. For today, I'm going to take a break from the Sam TBR. I'm still going to read, but I'm going to read something that's on my TBR outside of the Sam TBR, just to, you know, fly through one more book before I start diving into The Knife of Never Letting Go, because The Knife of Never Letting Go is a chunker. This dude is chubby bubby. 512 pages, and then tomorrow will be the day, I believe, I will be diving into this one. Hey guys, so it is my first day on The Knife of Never Letting Go by Patrick Ness. Like I said, I took yesterday to read something else, and it was very enjoyable to kind of take a day, read something Christmassy in between, and kind of give my brain a little bit of a break from kind of focusing in on this video. So far today, day one of reading this, I am a chapter in, and I have concerns, so I decided to go ahead and sit down and talk about it, since I'm 16 pages in, so I'm not super far yet, but I do have concerns. A world where in this town everyone can hear everybody else's thoughts, called The Noise, and we have started to get a little bit of an idea of that. Like, we hear the thoughts of the animals too, which is kind of fun and different. So we have the thoughts of the dog. The main character has a dog, and the main character himself, we're getting to experience. But the thing is it's in first person. Story makes sense. But here's my thing that is driving me insane. And I have a theory about maybe why it's the way it is, but the writing style is very, very difficult to read, and so far anyway. And I say that because there are so many things intentionally spelled wrong. We have the word though spelled T-H-O. That is one of my concerns, is that that's gonna drive me crazy. See, it's different when it's like, you know, you're reading from Hagrid's, you know, dialogue in Harry Potter, where yes, you have your spelled Y-E-R for your, because that's the way he talks, and I understand that that's the intention here. Is that this is how the character talks, or maybe even writes, potentially, because the character may not know any better. I have a theory that maybe they don't have school anymore ever since The Noise started. But regardless, it's kind of annoying. I don't know how I'm going to feel about it. I have concerns that it's going to be hard to read, because the first chapter itself was 16 pages long, which is, you know, in some books that's not, you know, it's kind of a medium length chapter, but with the style of the writing and the, you know, fact that it's a sci-fi, I have concerns that it's going to make it hard for me to read. So I'm a little bit worried about how long it's going to take me to read this book. I don't know, man, I don't know about this. I'm feeling strange feelings, because like the concept sounds really cool on the back
but then the writing style is so weird. I'm having trouble so far. Page 3 made me really mad. Or no, page 5, I'm sorry. Made me really mad because it was just such a silly thing to have GD basically gosh darn, but the version that's taking the Lord's name in vain was used 6 times on the one page. 5 of those 6 times was within one paragraph because of the fact that it's just unnecessary, and it really takes away from a story to me. I know that it doesn't bother everybody, and some people cuss a lot, but it's just so distracting. Somebody coming up and smacking the guy and telling him, you know, God hears. And I'm like, so frustrated because it's so often that Christianity is shown in this dark light. And I just, if they have a relationship with God, then they would never treat somebody like that, because that is not at all what God wants for us. Whether the author is Christian or not, they so often call out people who are poor Christians or, you know, represent Christianity in a poor light. I say that not even knowing what type of faith this character has, because God could be, you know, many different things. It doesn't have to be the God of Christianity, because most religions are not like that. Most faiths are very intent upon spreading kindness and goodness, and it really drives me insane that a lot of literature and a lot of writing, especially YA, like just really cuts down faith as a bad thing, when it's actually one of the best things that can happen to a person, is having, you know, something that's encouraging them to be good and kind and loving. You know, if that becomes a very big part of this book, then it's going to be extremely hard to get through. Even if it's not a big part, even if it's just something that reoccurs later in the book, it could potentially be very problematic for me and make it hard to potentially impossible for me to finish this book. So this is going to be a challenge for sure. I'm not giving up. I'm just telling you that I have a lot of concerns right now. Okay guys, so update from yesterday's reading of The Knife of Never Letting Go. Okay, so I continued on, I pressed through, and I got to page 47, which is definitely not where I wanted to be. I definitely wanted to read more than that yesterday. It definitely was better than the first 16 pages. For one thing, the language did not continue to be as intense. They do still swear, but it's not the same intensity that it was on that one page. I think that was more of like a one-time thing. So I'm thinking and believing that it's going to be, you know, significantly improved from here on out. The writing style I've gotten a little bit more used to. When I read the second chapter, I actually went through and I read it aloud, and I kind of read it in more of a southern accent aloud, so it kind of really made it easier to read, I think. After doing that, the plot has started to kind of come together now that we've gotten to the 50, right when I got almost to the 50-page mark. It was that last couple of pages of the last chapter that I read yesterday. We started to see a plot starting to form. We're learning a little bit about the world, but it's not overwhelming. And I still have a lot of questions, so that makes it another intrigue to want to keep reading, is so that we figure out why and how and like who these spackles are. I think it's spackles. But progress has been made as far as how I feel about the book. Hey guys, so I It's been a couple days since I've talked to y'all. Oopsie. So, I am still reading. It is currently, oh, my hair is a mess. Ignore everything about me right now. Just pretend none of this is happening, okay? Just listen to the words, not the image. It's currently the 16th, so it's been a few days, like I said, since I last talked to you guys, so I'm just gonna pop in and like basically tell you, since I started this book, how things have been going. Oh my god, the tea is so good, the tea is so good. Okay, so the first day I read 47 pages, and the second day I read 66 pages, so I did not read very much more the second day, so those 2 days definitely put me a little bit behind where I needed to be. But then the next day I hit goal for how much I needed to read in the day to be able to stay on track and not backtrack even further. So I read 157 pages. So far today I have read 30 pages. I have 203 pages left in this book. Read about half of what I have left of this book today and then finish it tomorrow, or I could try to push through and finish it all today. The progress is being made. Yay, things are happening. Okay, bye. Okay guys, so that was the end of the vlog clips and everything that Brie filmed. Now I'm going to sit down and talk about everything and wrap it all up. The categories that I had for the books were a classic, and it was either Jane Eyre or Pride and Prejudice, and Sam chose Jane Eyre, which is the first book that I read, and I really loved reading this again. It was a very nice experience. However, because of all the things that were going on in my life, it took me a long time to get through it. But the experience of reading itself was delightful. And the second category that I had Sam choose from was a contemporary, and he chose either From Love or Luck or Tell Me 3 Things. And Sam chose Love and Luck. This is the second book that I have read of Jenna Evans Welsh. The first one being Love and Gelato. This is kind of in a series situation where they're kind of standalones in a way, but the characters are connected, so if you don't read them in order, then it is going to spoil things. I really enjoyed this. I believe I gave it 4 stars. However, there are content issues, and Jenna Evans Welsh has a lot of growth that she needs to do as a writer. Book number 3 was for him to choose from one of the spooky books that I had on my shelf during the Halloween season and that I did not get to. So I had him choose between 2 of the shorter books. So I had A Monster Calls and The Things She's Seen. And Sam chose A Monster Calls. Very surprised by this read. It was very different from what I was kind of anticipating. And I really enjoyed this read. It's definitely different from most other books that you experience in the YA genre, because for one thing, the main character is definitely younger than most YA books are for the main character. And for another thing, there's kind of this, it's fantasy in a way, but it's also contemporary in a way. So I kind of enjoyed that element as well. And it's definitely very emotional. I definitely had a harder time reading this than I was anticipating when it comes to the emotions. Book number 4 that I had him choose was a reread for a sequel. So that was either Vicious or Carry On. And Sam chose Vicious, and I am actually so glad that he chose this, because I think that I read this way faster than I would have read Carry On, not just because of the length difference, but because of the pacing. This is definitely faster paced, and the chapters are so short that it was easy to read a large portion at a time, because it felt like I was getting, through very quickly. And the book that I finally just finished a few minutes ago,
Sam choosing book number 5, fantasy or sci-fi, and that was between The Knife of Never Letting Go and Elantris. And Sam chose The Knife of Never Letting Go, which is a chunk of a book. I was so worried about this one because I have trouble getting into sci-fi sometimes, or getting into new fantasy worlds sometimes, especially if they're like, you know, bigger worlds or they're darker, kind of like, you know, this seems to be. Once I got going, it was like a smooth ride, and I feel like even rereading that first chapter, I might, you know, enjoy it more. So now let's talk about how long it took for me to read each book. I think that would be kind of interesting to take a look at. So going in order of when I read the books rather than the order that Sam picked them this time, I'm going to tell you how many days it took each book. So it took me 20 days to read Jane Eyre. Again, during this time I had some stuff going on in my personal life. If I were to reread it, you know, now versus when I reread it, I feel like I probably would have gone through it much more swiftly. It was Vicious by V.E. Schwab. This was another reread. That last one was a reread. This was a reread, and it took me 3 days to read. The book that I read was A Monster Calls by Patrick Ness, and this took me 2 days to read. Love and Luck by Jenna Evans Welsh. This took me 3 days to read. And I picked up The Knife of Never Letting Go, and this took me 5 days to read. All in all, this is a very enjoyable experience. I liked, you know, just kind of having the opportunity to kind of take some stress off of myself when it came to choosing my books. So that is everything for this video. Stop talking because this video is already gonna be really long with all of the vlog clips. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you stayed till the end, you deserve all of the love and a giant gold star. And I love you very much, and you are an honorary member. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you very soon with another video. And be sure to stay tuned for some very exciting end of year content and New Year's content that is going to be coming out. Peace out, Bear Scouts.
About your worries and your stress. I mean a bare necessity. That's why a bear can rest at ease with just the bare necessities of life. Yeah, with just the bare necessities of life.